PVR launched several pieces of art from Italian cinema and brought them to Indian theatres because of an initiative by the Ministries of India and Italy. One of the Italian movies named Arminuta was released in Delhi with official limited time releases in other regions of India, amounting merely a rupee. The Italian movies were screened in Chanakyapuri's PVR ECX. This was the first time I saw an Italian film on the big screen. Here I am sharing my experience. La Moneta is an Italian film that is named A Girl Returned in the English language. A Girl Returned was released on 21 October 2021 in Italy, while it was released on 14 October 2021 in Delhi, specifically as seen on the BMS site. The movie is a joint collaboration between Italy and Switzerland and is loosely based on the novel of the same name. La Moneta is written by the Italian writer Donatella di Petrantonio. The film revolves around the coming-of-age story of a 13-year-old girl who is sent by her present family to a new family, which we know is her family of origin, which means where she was born. How does the unnamed girl, who one of the brothers in the new birth family also calls La Moneta, go through a turbulence of emotions at such a tender age and try to find what she can call or consider a home for herself and have a little warmth? Being born by one and raised by the other, but abandoned by both the mothers in her life, how does she come to terms with the wonder in her mind about why she was abandoned twice by the female figures being her mothers? This is what forms the major conflict and drive of the movie. A Girl Returned is a slow-paced drama that we can call perhaps a realistic cinema that underlines the basic real-life themes of poverty, dislocation of children, abandonment, promiscuous feelings or hormonal fluctuations, patriarchy, and motherhood. The girl's dislocation is evident from the perspective of a wealthy household where she grew up until she turned 13 years old to be transferred to a pretty poor household located near the countryside where confined walls and a rugged environment are all too new to her. The framing of both houses is different, the vibrance is different, and of course the people are different. Leaving her parents at the lovely company from her neighborhood, she is at a place where everything is different now. She had all the affection of her parents and all the comforts of this world in a seaside house with a separate room of her own along with the mother-daughter duo in the neighborhood. But now she has a mother who is distant and ridicules her for not knowing how to defeather a chicken. A stoic father who keeps his silence but is ready to beat his kids with all his might. With fixed household chores which she isn't accustomed to and has to share a room with 3 brothers and a sister with whom she also shares a small bed. The clunking and scraping sound of the spoon while taking out the prepared meal from the dish indicates that there's also a little food to share for her with everyone, and the room is filled with silence except for the sounds of cutlery and in-between glances at each other. Subtle details like these portray the conditions of poverty which are low-key evident in this film. As she keeps telling herself and the others that her previous mother is sick and hence she had to come here, the questions coming into her mind naturally keep her at the edge. Why has her father left her at this new home? What happened to his mother? Why didn't she stop him? And why is she avoiding meeting her and only leaving materials and money to her new parents? The questions are covered with the creeping up feeling of abandonment. As the new mother is distant and feelings of abandonment keep creeping her out, the one warmth, a more visible one, she gets into an incestuous relationship with the most elderly brother among all the 3 boys, Vincenzo. Vincenzo, who looks up at her like she's a grown woman, also asks at a point whether she's 18. He is attracted towards in a way that she is a distant stranger from his past life and has met him after ages and doesn't see her as a sister. Perhaps she also doesn't see him in the same way, as both shares a small sensual event one night after an event with excitement where she feels joy in the new environment for the first time, only because of this new young man. But the guy dies in a tragic accident and she is away from one close warmth she received. While her desire to find hope and love in this new environment and new life is seemingly being fetched from her throughout the movie's narrative, our protagonist didn't really seem to notice and acknowledge one person who has always been her pillar of strength and hope in this new home. That is the youngest family member and her sister Adriana. In the absence of a motherly figure in the protagonist's life, Adriana, despite being an 8 to 10-year-old, gives her a sense of protection, warmth, and affection that her mothers just couldn't provide. Both sisters are closer to each other and one way or another is the epitome of what family is. Adriana is a kid, of course, so much so that she wet her bed at night. She's naive enough to not understand that Vincenzo is tricking her to go buy cigarettes so he can spend alone time with the new girl in his life, and she is afraid to join her elder sister into the water at the beach. However, she is one character in the whole movie who comes across as courageous, sensible, and kind enough to stand up for what stands right. The patriarchal figures in the movie influence the minds of their counter characters. The new mother's husband doesn't let her be a part of the achievement of their daughter, and she is always stuck in the household chores and stressed about the money. While the husband of the previous mother leaves the protagonist too harshly, the new husband is nicer on the surface but too harsh to let a newborn child keep crying and not allowing the mother to check up on the child, as he states it is necessary for not letting the child get used to the affection and attention. It is at this moment Adriana's character stands up and checks up on the child and brings her to the mother, explaining that her hand was stuck in the crib. To this, the father of the child yells at Adriana about how dare she touch the kid, which also indicates the wealth disparity between the characters in the movie and the sense of power coming from the acquisition of money. This could also be understood by the fact that the protagonist was too keen to not let Adriana show any sign that she is coming from a poor family. However, the reaction of the man here changes all that. The protagonist, who feels startled at such a wild reaction towards her own younger sister, understands everything. The woman in front of her, who raised her as her own child, was perhaps a submissive woman to men with wealth and power, and the kid she is holding in her hand will also suffer in this home where finding love will be difficult. In this particular instance, the protagonist understands the helpless woman she wanted love from, and her younger sister Adriana, who came across as the only sensible and kind person who has empathy in her heart and does what's right. She left the table with her sister and both went to the beach together. The protagonist moves towards the waves and asks Adriana to join her as she moves her hand forward, showing her younger sister that she too will protect her from any danger and will look out for her. This time, Adriana doesn't feel scared to enter into the water and join in with her sister. It is because of this, the Arminuta finally found her new home and warmth in one place where she expected the least. I have talked less about the mother here, but in the end, I would like to draw everyone's attention to the article on the reading and translation site, sharing a greater insight into the novel and how Italian novels emphasize the theme of motherhood. In La Arminuta, the complexities in the respective situations of both mothers influence them to make certain decisions. These decisions have affected the protagonist and brought questions into her mind about her own identity. The girl in the movie also asks her new mother in anger whether she is a parcel that is being juggled between both parents. The English translated title containing a return explains this particular feeling of the protagonist. Quoting her words from the book, taken from the article, the protagonist says, "I was an orphan with two living mothers. One had given me up with her milk still on my tongue, and the other had given me back at the age of 13. I was a child of separations, false or unspoken kinships and distances. I no longer knew who I came from. In my heart, I don't even know now." By showing the complex nature of the situations and the protagonist's place in it, the story of this movie reminds us of the famous Italian novel's contemporary theme of motherhood, stating that it is not just the struggle to not just understand but to accept mothers as human beings with all the complexities that entail. At the place where I was watching this movie, I was perplexed but also amazed by the reaction of the people who had come to watch this film. The crowd consisted of our fellow foreigners and a few Indian groups too, and I believe we all can learn a few things from our cross-border friends. At one point, one of my fellow Indian guys was talking on the phone and someone shushed him to keep his voice down or cut the call. Despite the film's slow-paced story and fewer gigs and gags, people were paying enough attention to see and understand the movie. They were laughing when they needed to and they gasped whenever they wanted to. And at the end of the movie, everyone just simply applauded the creation of this film, something we Indians might have forgotten to do or perhaps feel shy to do. The last time I felt like clapping for a movie was the goosebump scene of Padmavat, where Padmavati and all other women take their lives to protect their dignity and respect, backed by a powerful BGM. And the last time I saw people clapping was Kantara movie, where the Hindi audience clapped at the end due to how it showcases one of India's ancient cultures in a cinematically impressive way. I think we can use this practice some more to appreciate good films and their makers. So that is it for this time, everyone. PVR has been screening different movies till now, celebrating cinema with audiences. The older movies of Amitabh Bachchan have been released, the Italian cinema was celebrated, and as I talk, The Japanese Film Festival is going on, releasing several anime movies also, such as 5 centimeters per second, Weathering with You, Your Name, and many more. Hit the like button if you like my efforts, comment down below what you have to share, and don't forget to subscribe to be updated with my newly uploaded content. See you next time. Peace.